So I decided to rewatch the entire Despicable Me franchise in favour of the new movie coming out today. And can I just say, it's way funnier than I remember, for the stupidest reasons as well. So let's look back on the great franchise that is Despicable Me. The original Despicable Me is a classic, and it's one of the best because it gives us a good introduction to all the main characters, and it's honestly got a funny plot. If I was ranking the movies, I'd probably give this one rather third or second place because it's great, but not the best. I still think it's a great film, and it's honestly quite funny. And I laughed a bit while watching it. And obviously we get introduced to the character of Gru and his personality. And of course we can't forget the legend himself, Vector. And of course, the Gauls. The funniest part about this movie is definitely the minions, as they're so weird yet so funny. And the way they just live I kind of find it quite amusing. Like this scene from the movie where they're at a supermarket and they're trying to find Agnes a new unicorn toy. And instead of trying to find a unicorn toy, they just do a bunch of weird stuff. It adds absolutely nothing to the plot, but it's still funny and it's one of my favourite scenes. And even though I love the minions, the best part about the film was definitely Vector. I mean, come on, just look at him. His beautiful haircut, his goofy glasses, and of course his beautiful orange jumpsuit. It would be really cool if he returned in Despicable Me 4, and it'd be interesting to see how he got off the moon. And the best scene from this film is definitely...
Oh, poop.
And it's definitely a 10 out of 10 for me. Anyways, let's move on. Now we move on to the second film in the franchise, which is also my favourite. This movie brings me a lot of nostalgia because it came out a year after I was born and the DVD released only a few months after the movie released in cinemas. I can remember watching this movie a bunch when I was younger because I thought it was so funny and so entertaining. And this is the film where we get introduced to an important character, Lucy, who originally is supposed to be an assistant of Gru, but they end up getting married, obviously. And the main villain of this film is the character El Macho. And if I'm going to be honest, I find this guy kind of weird. Like the fact that he has a chicken that's built exactly like him. And also the purple minions, they were a bit strange. But to be honest, it still is a great movie and I love watching it. And the music is just great. I mean, listen to this crap. And, of course, I'm gonna give this one an 11 out of 10. Anyways, let's move on. There's not much to say about this film except for King Bob! But it is honestly a great film. And this film also gives me nostalgia, just like Despicable Me 2. And I love the fact that this is supposed to be like an origins of the Minions film, as it reveals that Minions have been around since the dawn of the earth, and since that time they've been trying to find a leader, and finally they found the perfect leader. And I give this movie a 9 out of 10, but I have to move on quickly because my phone's about to die. This movie is quite interesting. I mean, it is a great movie, but in a way, it's basically just this.
Here it comes! Oh, hot, 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 hot! Hot, 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 hot! My God, it must be over 100 Kuriks!
If I'm gonna be honest, this is my least favourite one. I mean, it is great, but I just like the other ones better. And this one, well, this one is just, I don't know. It's hard to explain, really, but I just don't like it. I mean, sure, it might be the only film where Steve Carell and Trey Parker argue over some bubblegum, but honestly, it feels kind of rushed. Like, I don't know why, it just feels like it gets straight into the story, which sometimes is a good thing, but the way they did it is just a bit strange. Well, if I'm going to be honest, Drew is a great addition to the Despicable Me franchise. When I first watched this movie, I loved Drew. I don't know why. I just thought he was cool, I guess, with the fact that he was evil, because I loved the arc of Gru when he was evil, so maybe that was it. But I don't know, I was like 7, so it doesn't even matter anyway. But I genuinely dislike Balthazar Brat. I mean, just like El Macho, I find him kind of weird. And I bet Trey Parker only wanted to play him because he's like retro. I'm sorry, but I'll have to give it a 7 out of 10. Now let's move on to the next one. The fifth and final film is Minions: The Rise of Gru. And I'm not the only one who thinks this, but this movie is an absolute masterpiece. Just like Despicable Me 3, it's got a bunch of different plots, yet it's still put together in a great way, and it's honestly a revival for the Despicable Me franchise, as because, well, they hadn't really made anything for quite a bit, and their last movie, Despicable Me 3, was great, but a bit of a disappointment. And this film gives us an introduction to characters like Dr. Nefaria and Mr. Ramsbottom, and also the guy from the Bank of Evil. It also shows early life between the Minions and Gru and how they got along while Gru was a kid. And honestly, I find it kind of wholesome. I mean, no wonder they are playful with the girls. They were playful with Gru as well. I can remember watching this film all the way back in 2022. I can remember watching it at a cinema in Blackpool, and I can remember being absolutely amazed. This movie's simply just amazing. Like, I've got no other word to describe it. It's just amazing. It's got a better story than the original Minions movie. It gives us a more clearer understanding of what happens, and I just find it way better. Of course, it's not the best. There are a few cons about this movie, but I'm too tired to name any of them. But I'm not tired to name all the pros in the film, because the film is just funny and actually has a good story. And when it comes to plot, I find this the best movie with like the Vicious Six and all that, and then the Chinese New Year. It's just brilliant. Also, not to mention all the pop culture references in the film. It's just crazy. It's supposed to be set in the year 1975, and, well, there are just a few things I would like to say. First of all, if Vector is supposed to be around 20 years old in Despicable Me set in 2010, then why does he show up in this film if it's set in 1975? Second of all, why isn't there more Vector? Like, if you're going to show Vector, then you have to at least show about 2 hours of Vector. That's just kind of how the rule is now. So, fingers crossed that Despicable Me 4 has 2 hours of Vector. But anyways, I'm going to give it a 10.5 out of 10.